Welcome to bepreparednow.info. On today's episode we have a very special guest. He's the owner of SA Gold Traders right in the heart of the city of Adelaide in Australia. Jeweller by trade with over 26 years of experience, 9 years in the Reserve Army. He has a huge interest in human and financial survival. He's an author, been interviewed internationally on business and bullion matters. He's also a sought-after motivational speaker. Mr. Lee Chapman, welcome to bepreparednow.info. Lee, the bells are ringing, lights are flashing, wars are breaking out, there's civil unrest around the world, the stock market is about to take a nosedive. What advice can you give the viewers and the people out there?
Well, thanks for having me on the show, Tony.
You're welcome.
Look, I suppose I'd like to talk to everyone out there. Welcome to the show. And I just want to say, I guess from my point of view, I started to realise that something was wrong. I was working a job, my money didn't seem to catch up with inflation, I just seemed to not making enough money, and I did some research and I realised that the dollar and the US dollar and the way that the world economy works, the system that we know now is on its way out. And that's how I got started into bullion and why I look towards bullion as financial survival.
If this, Lee, as you know, Lee, there's something happening out there around the world. The stock market's overvalued, there's wars breaking out, and it's making people quite nervous. Now, there are some people, maybe 1% of the people, who are quite aware of what's going on. The other 99% of people really are still walking around on the beach and there's a tsunami on its way. If the market crashed tomorrow, if the shops were closed, supermarkets, ATM machines and banks were closed down, and there was no access to any funds at all, what would be the best way to try and survive something like this?
What I realised is, under that scenario, which by definition it will happen at one stage, the world's economy since 1970, when gold was actually taken away from the gold standard, money was just printed at will. So what that happened was that the world could just make as much money as they liked, and for the last 20 or 30, 40 years we've had incredible prosperity. But with that comes inflation, and what happens is this money that you actually go and get out from your bank account right now, is you can't keep printing it and actually still have value. The more money we print, the less value it has. So in a scenario where this will happen, it's only a matter of when, you won't be able to get money out of your ATM. You won't be able to get money out of your bank because it'll be closed. So what are you going to use? Everything will go back, in my view, to what real currency was, and that is either gold or silver. So that's why I got into gold and silver as survival, because no matter what survival situation you're in, you've got to realise how are you going to buy baked beans? How are you going to buy milk for the kids? How are you going to buy nappies? How are you going to buy medicine? How are you going to buy fuel? Well, this stuff won't be worth anything. You're going to have a different currency, and that's why I educate people on gold and silver.
So right now, your best advice to a lot of people out there is take a bit of cash and go and buy some silver. It's a poor man's gold, but it's a nice way of securing a financial future.
Yeah. Silver's making, it's a supply and demand problem. You have more and more people waking up to the fact that there is something wrong with the financial supply. So more and more people are looking into it. But with that, the world is not finding more silver. It's not like God tomorrow is just going to clap his hands and make a few extra tons of silver. Not to mention the amount of silver we use in medicine, the amount of silver we use in electronics, the amount of silver we use in medicines, water purification, solar panels. There's more and more demand, and we're finding less and less of it, so it has to go up. So I say to people, get rid of your old jewellery, get rid of your cash in the bank because it's not worth anything, and actually buy something that keeps up with inflation, and buy some gold and silver.
Do you believe that in the future that the silver will continue to go? Do you believe that maybe there's a new currency on the horizon?
I personally think when it all falls over, that out of it, that the banks will come up with probably five currencies. I think there will still be the euro. I think there'll be some kind of Islamic dollar to keep that part of the world happy. I think there'll be Australian Pacific dollar. The Amero is already on the drawing board for North America and Canada and the Americas. And then I think there'll probably be one world currency to go over the whole lot, but I think there'll probably be 5.
Gold. What's your views on gold?
Gold, Gold, same thing. It's more and more people want it, but they're finding less and less of it. Up until recently, it was illegal for actually people to own precious metal in China. A communistic country has overturned that ruling, so literally the world's population of investors has literally doubled overnight. Chinese they're all cashed up, they're buying gold, so that alone is pushing the price up as well. And they're not just buying gold, they're buying all metals, not just gold.
Well, your silver that you've got on display here right now, the Canadian maple there, what are they worth now, and where do you see that going in the future?
Canadian maples, currently Australian dollars, about $31 an ounce for a Canadian maple. That's pretty much standard. They're usually about $10 over spot because more and more people want them. The reason that gold and silver is down, and it should be a lot higher than what it is right now, is because the big bullion banks actually trade in what's called EFTs, or exchange traded funds, where you actually buy a certificate, you're not buying physical. So on the books it looks like there's more silver than there really is. So that's what keeps the price down, so people can make more computers and more iPods and so forth and so on. If you took away all those certificates, an ounce of silver should be in the range of about $300 an ounce.
Right, so right now is a good time for viewers to go out there and buy it at this rate.
Any time's a good time to buy it because the fundamentals don't change. Things are happening, but the supply and demand, more and more people want it, they're finding less of it, it has to go up. The same as if I said to you 20 years ago that oil was going to be $130 a barrel, you would have laughed at me. But here we are, 2014, and it's hovering around $100, $130 a barrel.
And with all the silver unrest that's going down the moment.
Exactly.
Now you've got a nice large piece of silver there.
So you can have bars as well. This is a ½ kilo bar. I prefer ½ kilos and 10 ounce bars just because they're an easy size to move. When the price does skyrocket, they're saying this goes from $500 up to $2,000 or $3,000. If you want to trade it, it's a bit harder to trade than if you buy some coins.
Absolutely. Then you've got your gold over here.
Exactly.
And that's small as you deal with, or you
can get smaller. This is a 1 ounce Perth Mint bar. You can get smaller. The reason I deal with most ounces because most people hear on the news about the price for 1 ounce bar, so they can easily comprehend what an ounce of gold is worth. So that's an ounce of gold, and to prove that it keeps up with inflation, 2,000 years ago, you could buy a Roman soldier, a centurion could buy with 1 ounce of gold, buy a good suit of armour, a sword and a robe. Today, 1,000, an ounce of gold, once again, will buy you a good $1,000 suit. If you lived in America, you could probably buy $1,000 worth of body armour. It still keeps up with inflation even today, because this stuff, the reason this is not worth anything, this is a copy of a $1,000 note. Now, I don't know if your camera will pick it up, but I've highlighted it. It says, redeemable to the bearer upon release of $1,000 in gold. So money used to be backed by gold, used to be. And then that was taken away in 1970. Now, this stuff, you can throw this to the bottom of the ocean 1,000 years from now, it won't be worth anything. But gold and silver will still have intrinsic value. And to prove the point, every single currency, here's Australian $100 note. It says on the back, legal tender, issued by the Australian government throughout its territories. US dollar note says this note is legal tender. Here you go. Is 100. I'm a 100 trillionaire. This is in Zimbabwe, $100 trillion. They've printed themselves out to existence. It's not worth anything. And the word tender means supplied by the lowest supplier. It's by government decree. It's not backed by anything. So if they want to change this tomorrow, they can, and there's not a thing you can do about it. They can't change this. So which one would you rather have?
Well, the information that you're giving us and giving all the viewers out there is get out there and buy some cash. Get some cash and buy some silver and gold ASAP. Mainly silver because it's really affordable to get involved at the moment.
You can go out and buy 2 or 3 ounces and become a silver investor tomorrow.
Right.
The money that you would spend on a pizza and a Coke, you can buy yourself 1 ounce of silver, because one day this will be worth $300 or $400. So, and in a survival situation, you'll be able to go anywhere with that and say, like, can I buy $300 worth of groceries?
Your friends, Lee, have you when you speak to some of your friends, advise them to go and buy silver or gold?
Mm.
And do you find that you're in the minority of people? Do you feel as though you're speaking to fresh air, or what's the response from people who you do warn?
Most people don't believe it, but I'm not there to try and coerce people. I'm just saying, well, I'm just one voice. Go and do your own research. And then what they've done is they've gone out and done their own research, and then they've come back to me and go, well, actually, yeah, this is a bigger problem than I actually first thought from doing their own research.
Lee, finally, you've been in the industry a long time.
Yes.
You're associated, I do believe, with the Perth Mint.
Yes.
And you're a bullion trader.
Yes.
And if people want to contact you, Lee, what's the best way of them contacting you?
The best way to contact me is either find me through Facebook at SA Gold Traders. I'll do a special for those that get on the show, right, for the first 100 viewers. You can actually get a copy of my book, How to Make Money in Business and Bullion, ebook. It's $10. And from there, that'll give you enough information to get you started. But you can find me through Facebook at SA Gold Traders. Is probably the easiest way, because that's the way we live in.
Lee Chapman giving away information, that's incredible. Usually people have to pay a lot of money to get that.
Exactly.
Well, Lee, we all like to say thank you very much for appearing on bepreparednow.info, and we'll catch up you in the future on money, gold and silver.
Thanks everyone. Just remember, if you do something, something will happen. If you do nothing, nothing will happen. Thanks very much.